telepathy, telekinesis, x ray vision, but all you really want is a peaceful, average, quiet life, and maybe the occasional coffee jelly. Well, you're in luck. This week, we're talking about the disastrous life of Saiki K. Welcome, anime fans and foodies, to Anime Bento. Each week, we review a different anime and we give you some fun recipes to go along with it. Joining me this week is.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason. I am an anime fan and I am a huge JRPG fan. It's perfect because they kind of interlap a lot. So I really enjoy being here and I'm happy to talk anime with you.
I'm glad to have you on again, Jason. This is the second time around. I'm really excited to talk about this anime with you. It's totally different than I think anything we've talked about before. So I'm really excited to dive into this.
Yeah, same here. And I actually, well, I'll wait until we talk about the actual anime because I have a funny story just to tell a quick story.
I'm excited to hear it. Well, with every episode, we have some fun treats for you to try out. For our snack this week, we have Cusco's Sweet Reprieve. This is a simple classic coffee jelly with a light whipped cream. For our cocktail, we have Cider Man's Melon Refresher, combining soju, cider, and this isn't like apple cider. It's an Asian soft drink. It's reminiscent of Sprite or 7 Up. And you'll add a melon popsicle, which will give it this melon cream flavor. But if you don't have a melon popsicle, any popsicle that you like will do. And our mocktail this week is the Sasuke K. Lemonade, cranberry juice, and topped with some strawberry sparkling water. If you give any of these a try, please tag us at Anime Bento, and especially if any of these give you psychic powers, we would love to hear. Now, let's dive into the anime. The Disastrous Life of Sasuke K. Kusuo Saki is your run of the mill high school student, except he was born with literally every psychic power imaginable: telepath, telekinesis, x ray, vision, teleportation, you name it, he can do it. The only problem? He wants to live a regular life. In a series of mini adventures, where Sasuke uses his overwhelming godlike powers in the most mundane ways possible, usually to avoid drawing attention to himself or sneak some coffee jelly. The Disastrous Life of Sasuke K premiered in 2016, and you can watch it on Netflix. Spoiler warning, everyone. Spoilers lie beyond this point. Enter at your own risk. The following may ruin the ending of the season for you. Okay, Jason, I've been excited to talk about this anime. It's one of my guilty pleasures, so I like to know what you thought of it.
All right, definitely will give you my first impressions. But first, I want to tell a quick story. So, we're recording somewhat after Halloween. Last on Halloween day, I went grocery shopping. I went to Whole Foods and I was getting my stuff and I went to the line and all the cashiers were dressed for Halloween. And I kid you not, the line I was in, the girl at the cashier was dressed as Saki K.
Wait, are you serious?
I am dead serious.
Oh, everyone, I just almost fell out of my chair. That is in. Wow. So we started this anime and then you saw a cosplay of it right away. That is
Hmm.
so cool. And they had
Yeah.
the little ball antenna
Yep.
things? Oh,
That's how I was able to tell initially because they were wearing a pink wig and then they had the little like antenna things on there.
oh man. That that is so cool. It's because I've never seen a Sasuke K cosplay. And oh man. That
Yeah, no, it was one of the lines that was it was the shorter line, so I got into that line because it was shorter, and then as I got closer, I realized, "Oh, snap, you're dressed just like Saki K."
oh my did you wow, were you just like, "I know who you are?"
Yeah, and I mentioned, like, "I like your costume," then I actually mentioned I mentioned the Anime Bento podcast and how I'm gonna be talking about it with you in, like, a few days or whatever, so
Wow, what a coincidence. Wow, what a great story, though, I love it. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I was gonna get a picture of her, but then I was like, that would just be weird if I took a random picture of a stranger. So, but it was really funny. Like, it was just one of those weird things like, oh, wow, I know exactly who you are because I've been watching this anime for this podcast.
Yeah, such a okay, I'm not gonna say this isn't a popular anime because it does have 3 seasons, but I still find it very niche. Not everyone's gonna know who this character is, and just, wow, what the coincidence of you running into a person dressed like that after just starting the show. Wow, I love it so much. That's a great story. So now you watched the whole season. What do you think of it?
I really like it because there's just something charming about the way they handle what it would be like being a teenager with powers. We've seen versions of this countless times. Looking back at things like the X-Men, for example, and whatnot, we've seen like people trying to be living normal lives while being super powered and whatnot. Uh, Smallville comes to mind too. This one really leans into it because all of those shows have them trying to live normal lives, but then also trying to save the world or whatever, or take on the Brotherhood of Mutants, or there's the villain of the week or whatever that's super powered as well. This is literally just he's pretty much, I mean, we meet others who have powers as well, but generally speaking, he's like the only person who has powers. He is pretty much OP, and he just wants to like live a normal life. He's just like, I didn't ask for these powers. They were just kind of given to me at birth. I'm trying to just keep a low profile. I don't broadcast that I have these powers. I don't want anybody to know about them. And I hate the fact he kind of hates the fact that he can't really even control them for the most part. Like what is it? Everybody within 200 meters, he can read their mind uncontrollably. But then there's also this part where it's almost fourth wall break and a kind of meta where you can see the characters kind of like the anime writers. So there were times where they brought up stuff, and I don't know if it was intentional or if I'm reading too much into it, but they bring up stuff that like explains certain anime tropes. Like, if you've ever been to Japan, naturally most Japanese people have black hair. Obviously, there are people who wear wigs or dye and stuff, but if you watch any anime, you're going to see blonde haired Japanese people and pink haired Japanese and blue and stuff like that, and it's just weird or whatnot. But then in the anime, he explains like, "Oh, the reason everybody has different color hair is because for whatever reason, my powers gave me pink hair, and I didn't want people asking a bunch of questions, so I used my powers to like alter everybody's thoughts to where they saw everybody having random colored hair, so my hair wouldn't seem normal abnormal." Or he's like, or I've altered reality to where whenever like people get into an attack, or people are attacked or whatever and all their clothes are destroyed, their clothes conveniently stay in place in like the crotch area or whatever. Just random things like that, or how like a scene will reset. Like, they lose all their clothes, but then all of a sudden the next scene, all their clothes are back on. So it's like all these anime tropes that you see, and he kind of explains how secretly in his universe, he's been using his psychic powers to kind of make that happen and whatnot. So it's almost like it's a fourth wall break, and it's super meta commentary. So I liked there was a very smart way that they handled this that I found super charming. And then, of course, the characters are fun too, because again, tropes. You have like the shonen protagonist, or not shonen protagonist, but you have like a shonen character, then you have kind of the dumb character, and you have what else? You have like you have the kid who's like in a fantasy world, and then the bad parents, and then the girl who's like, swooning all over them, and just all these character tropes that you see. So it was such a good anime.
I the one of the main reasons I love this show is it's just I feel like with a lot of anime that I watch, it's so intense or there's a full story with it. You're kind of going week to week and it takes a lot out of you and it's just you're so focused and you're that not that it's work or whatnot, but it's just watching a epic battle scene. It's so cool, but every now and then you kind of just want to zone out and just relax. And with this anime, it's just a series of little small adventures we're having together. And having that and just be able to sit down and put it on and not have to worry about what episode you're watching because it in a way, it felt like, watching The Simpsons or King of the Hill, like, when we talk about King of the Hill. Kinda the continuity can reset at any moment. We're free flowing. Nothing really has to carry over. If one thing happens, then that character might reset by the next moment or whatnot. So I really enjoy having that aspect of the show that you can just throw it on and just have it playing and not worry about having to focus on a storyline too much. I also am also a big fan of how this treats a person who has all the powers of the world, and like you were saying, the reality of that, where he says that, being able to read people's minds isn't all that it's cracked up to be, because you'll never get to have a surprise party in your life. And there are moments where we find out that he hates going to the movie theater because he can't watch a movie. Because while he's walking to the theater, he can hear people's thoughts about how the movie ended, or when he's sitting in the theater, he can people are just thinking throughout the movie, so he can't focus on the movie. So it's just this show's a lot of fun. It's just I just love a little well, everyone knows I love slice of life. So it's a little slice of life. It's fun and just these misadventures. You gotta love a show where you kind of have 2 to 3 little misadventures in an episode. Usually we
I
talk
agree.
about, like, the pacing and, the arc and if there are filler episodes, but, again, this is kinda little I don't know, little segments in the show, so I don't think there is really any overarching arc in it or any pacing that needs to be evolved, and I would say there are no filler episodes because it's just all him living his normal life. I think in lieu of that, we can just dive into the characters and start talking about some of our favorite moments with them.
Yeah.
Like always, we start off with our main guy, and our main guy is Cusco Saki. Okay, Jason, our pink-haired antenna guy. What do you think of him?
So I liked him and I liked his nonchalant attitude. He is clearly molded by his powers because he's kind of his powers have put him in a position where he has just kind of become detached to reality, if you will. And I think a lot of it is just because he's like, I've had these powers all the time. I don't know anything but what it's like to have these powers. I hear everybody's thoughts. I can, be clairvoyant. I can teleport. I could teleport accidentally. I can, do all this stuff. So it just kind of makes him nonchalant. He's trying to live a normal life, but that also results in him living a life of isolation in a lot of ways because he in order to live a normal life, he has to make sure that he doesn't accidentally, reveal his powers to anybody, which prevents him from getting close, but also he doesn't want to hear all that noise from somebody's thoughts. So, he has those problems. He's a funny character too. He's just fun to watch. He's fun to engage with. I really liked him as a character. I also like that he's not too animated, because a lot of times you have these anime shows, these shonen manga or whatever, where the characters are just overly, animated or overly expressive in a very cartoony, slapstick way. There are definitely other characters in the show who fit that category, but not really him.
He is he's so great because he doesn't I don't I don't he's so cool. I guess that's just how I feel about him. He's so cool because he's not trying anything. He's trying well, I guess he is trying in a sense to be normal, but he kind of likes his own little world that he's created. And I love that he's just adapted himself to these powers. Like we were saying, he can read people's minds. So we had a whole episode where he talks about how he doesn't play the most popular video games, that he plays I guess, the really indie niche games that kind of have bugs in them and don't work all the time because no one will be talking about that. And I love that he finds the joy still in that and playing that game. And I love that he finds the joy in coffee jelly and that he will go out of his way to find a really good one, or he's very passionate about that. I I also love that he'll stay to himself and he doesn't want to meddle in other people's business, but he will if it involves him. A lot of times we see him using his powers is when someone has drawn him into something or brought him into a situation like with that magic man. I forgot his name, but the homeless
Mhm.
magic man. And when he saw that that guy was going to put someone in danger, he was like, "Well, I need to stop this. I need to help. I can't let this guy just saw someone in half. I guess I had to be his assistant." We see a lot of that from Saiki. We al- I also love that he genuinely is a really good friend. He may not like the people around him, or I don't know. I think he likes them. I don't think he wants to be around them all the time. Just a little bit does it for him. But when he sees someone do something wrong to one of his friends, like was it Hyro, the sports guy,
Mhm.
and when they're in the little relay race, and then he gets stripped, and then Psyche's like, "Oh, time to use my powers." Because it's not fair that they tripped him, and we're not going to get to win. So he uses his powers to get revenge, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that he's a great friend to his friends. That he even though he begrudgingly has that group around him and he does want to be by himself, he does still appreciate them and looks out for them and their well being when he can. So he's a really great guy.
Mhm.
And just a fun main character. And I love when, like you were saying, he breaks the fourth wall. There's a there was an episode where they were like, "Oh, we're celebrating the 100th episode," and he says, "Well, it's not the 100th episode because we just started the anime, but it is the 100th chapter in the manga."
Mhm.
So I like, and I wonder, do you think that's part of his psychic powers that he knows he's in an anime?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's probably like I haven't gotten us that far, but I don't recall them mentioning in the first season, and I don't know if they mentioned it in future seasons, but maybe it is a part. I mean, his powers are OP, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect that he also has like fourth wall awareness or something.
Because he doesn't, yeah, he does have these moments where he kind of just is like, where he breaks out and talks to us directly and makes these comments. So I do enjoy all that about him. He's a great guy. He's a fun character, but he's made even better with the supporting cast around him. And I don't know why I really gravitated to this character, but Riki Nendo is one of the characters I saw myself gravitating towards. He's just so much fun to have on screen and a perfect foil for Psyche. What do you think of Nendo?
I mean, he's the in any anime. You have the stereotypical kind of dumb guy who's just kind of there, and he's a lovable idiot. Like his whole shtick is that they can't read his mind, or Sake can't read his mind because his head is so empty that it's impossible to read his thoughts. So, and he is very much an idiot who can't just pick up on anything. I mean, even when the answer is obvious in front of him, he makes the wrong like in one of the first episodes where he Saki, uses his pyrokinetic powers to heat up the thermometer to make it look like somebody has a fever, and then he melts it and whatnot. That could have easily outed him to him, but instead he assumes, "Oh no, you have a fever too," kind of thing, and he's a lovable idiot. Like, you could tell he actually cares and he wants to be friends with everybody. And, he misses his dad who's passed away, and he tried to save the one girl who was and, he's just he deep down is a nice guy who wants to do the right thing. He just I don't know. He's just not. He's a stereotypical lovable idiot.
Nando has some of my favorite moments in this show. I mean, I guess just off the top of my head, one of my favorite moments is when they're doing the fitness tests and
Hmm.
he takes the two balls and he's like, "Oh, these are boobies now." And they're doing like some kind of stretching thing and they get in his way and he gets upset about it. And he's the lovable goofball, and I don't even know why they explain it. Saiki doesn't really explain it either, but he Nendo has decided that Saiki is his best friend, and he is always there to kind of. And that's another reason that I like Nendo is that he's always trying to get Saiki to join him on a fun adventure. He he could go alone or there's a whole group of friends that they have that he could invite, but he has this attachment to Psyche and he wants him to go out with him and he wants to have the fun together enjoying each other. He's definitely not the smartest one. Like you were talking about his dad, another one of my favorite moments is when we meet his mom and they look exactly the same. Um
Hmm.
His dad, his mom, they're basically the same character design, just with different hair and
Hmm.
clothes. I love the scene where they point out that his mom and him look identical, and she says she doesn't see it. And they're walking past a mirror, and his mom looks in the mirror and says, "Oh, Nendo, when did you grow your hair out?" And then Saiki
Yeah.
says, "That's you."
Yeah, and it's the same thing with his dad too. Like, they look exactly the same, minus where like their scars located or whatever. And so that's funny, but it feels like it's uh the Millhouse, his parents kind of situation, how they look exactly the same, and then you're like, wait, are they like siblings? Like, somebody explain this to me.
I never really thought about that, but yeah. Oh man. Oh my gosh, it's Kurt and Luann, right? No, is it?
Definitely Kurt. I think it's
No?
Luann.
But yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that, but yeah. When these 3 parents or this family, it's very identical. Again, this Nando's just so funny. He's just such a great well, yeah, he is the idiot of the group. He's so childlike. I think, like, he's a free spirit, and I think that's great. I love that Psyche can't use his powers on him or has no idea, which is kind of I would think if I found someone who I have all the powers in the world and then someone's immune to it, wouldn't that want to be like I think that I would want to be friends with them because
Mhm.
then that's the only person you can really talk to with that you can't read their mind and whatnot. But Psyche is more cautious of him because there was an episode where Nando did something. Oh, he pulled out one of the antennas from Psyche's head. And then Psyche was like, "Oh, he is a threat to me now and he must be eliminated."
Mhm. Yeah, because those little antenna that he has are like, they're not like, he's not born with them or whatever, they're just limiters because, again, he's OP. If he does not have the ability to control his powers, or at least he can't make them less dangerous naturally, so he has those limiters on, so when Nando removes it, it's like a threat to the entire world.
But so we have Nendo, who is our lovable goofball. but he's super strong. And then we meet his rival. Well, not technically his rival, but this person has declared Nendo his rival. Hinashi Hiro. I don't know if I like him. I don't know if I don't like him. He's kind of neutral with me right now. He has his highs. He doesn't really have lows for me, just highs. Uh, what do you think of Hiro?
I mean, he's don't I wouldn't say he's my favorite character, but I don't know, I guess he's just your stereotypical jock character. That's kind of where he came up to be, and he's like I talked about shonen mangas and whatnot. I think he is like the epitome shonen manga, protagonist, just over the top, super energetic, super happy, but super competitive a lot. I mean, he's enjoyable. He's probably not my favorite character just because I've never been a big fan of the jock types in anime. I do like the role that he plays in the actual anime in relation to Saki and whatnot, and the fact that he's just trying to be like a good friend and cheering him on and whatnot. Like even when like Saki's trying to like do the bare minimum to do all right at PE or whatever, he's still pushing him to, like, be successful and stuff like that, and I know it gets on his nerves, but, yeah, I think there's a good character in there, and then, of course, he's, like, the rival to Nendo, even though, like, it's kind of not mutual, but yeah.
I love that Hiro is the person who's not good. I don't think he's ever given up on anyone. He is the most supportive person I've ever met in an anime. He it's cool because he knows people's limits, and I just remember that one scene where this girl's carrying these books, or she's carrying something heavy in the hallway, and she needs help clearly, and he goes up to her and he says, "Do you need help? I can help you." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And then he says, "Wait, but you gotta take 5 steps to push yourself." And then he makes her take 5 steps. Then he takes the books from her, and then he's always I think this is his go-to gag, but he always decides to bunny hop the rest of any location, which I think is hilarious. I don't know if it's when we first meet him, but this is my first memorable moment of him, is during the dodgeball game, and we're playing dodgeball, and, he scrapes his knee playing it, and we have this whole kind of very dramatic anime scene where he talks as if he is on his, deathbed to,
Mhm,
Saiki, and Saiki's like, "Didn't you just scratch your knee?"
mhm,
But, yeah, Hiro is just such a great, fun character. He rounds out the group really well for me, and,
yeah,
I guess another fun moment that I really loved about him is when, they were trying to do for the class carnival or something like the student fair, and they were trying to think of ideas for what to do as a class, and he would only write down his own ideas, and people would throw out more
mhm.
ideas, and they say, "Well, why don't you write that one down?" And he just would ignore them. I really did think they were gonna end up, um, folding those, was he wanted them to make, like, 300 cranes each or something like that, but let's move on to another fun character. I this character confused me at the beginning of the show, then I quickly learned what their deal was, but that's Shun Kaido. He is I thought that he was psychic as well when we first got introduced to him, because he really introduces himself as, Oni Saiki and I have this bond, and, we're a team together. So in my mind, I was thinking, "Oh, cool, we have another psychic and they're gonna have fun together. One is loves his power and one doesn't want to use his power." But we find out that Kaido is just delusional. What do you think of our poor Kaido?
He's to me, he's also kind of a shonen character. He's a young guy. He's a little, let's call over enthusiastic or over animated. He kinda lives in a fantasy world where he thinks he is what was it called? Jet Black or something he thinks he's like a superhero who has, like, a demon living in his arm or whatever, which I just drew a blank, but it reminds me of an anime or a video game that I've played, which is very similar, where it actually has, like, a demon living in his arm or whatever. But it so that immediately triggered that memory. Tales of Berseria, I guess you can say, though not exactly the same thing, but that kinda reminded me of that a little bit, only he doesn't have that at all. He's just kind of, very animated, but he's, like, 16 years old, like, that behavior would make more sense of a, like, 8-year-old or whatever, but you'd think he would have grown out of it by now where he's playing superhero all the time. Uh, but you gotta love his, energy and his likability. He also reminds me kind of like Ichiban from, uh, Yakuza Like a Dragon. I don't know if anybody's played that game, but the character, he's a person who grew up playing Dragon Quest and other kind of JRPGs and whatnot. So in his head, he is in a JRPG. So when he fights people on the street or whatnot, he sees them as monsters, not because they actually are, but that's just kind of where he goes in his mind, even though he's like a 38-year-old man. Um, so he gives me those kind of vibes, but he's also a nice guy. He also really just wants to have friends, and I think because he's kind of awkward, loner kind, that's kind of why he gravitates to Saiki. But of course, Saiki doesn't want to be anybody's friend. He wants to just kind of do his own thing. But he's entertaining because he's in his own world all the time.
I also love that people don't really shun him at first. They kind of always hear him out. He's always got something to say. I remember just like when we're first introduced to him, he is it's that snake. There's a snake loose or some a snake escapes from the zoo. The most I think they say it's like a most poisonous snake in the world is out and about, and he says something to them, and it's something like, "Oh, the order." I forgot what the group is named. It's something the order of something that is
Hmm.
the evil villain group in his mind, and he starts talking about that, and people are listening intently, and then once he starts really going in depth of that, they're like, "Oh, it's just Kaido doing his own Kaido thing," and unfortunately, we see people take prey on his living in this jet black world. I do wonder. Well, he does keep it a secret because we know that his mom doesn't know about this because he has his own little secret journal that his mom hasn't read before. Uh, I do love Kaido a lot because characters like Kaido, you kind of feel for them. And I just think of that episode with the psychic lady and he goes visits her, and his only wish is really to be able to make friends.
Right.
And I really have a heart out for Kaido in that sense that he's trying to make friends, but again, it feels like he's got a really strong friend group that Saiki has kind of unwillingly created this circle of friends around him, and they all really love to hang out and go do fun things together. But Kaido, I wonder. This is my thoughts, and I haven't seen season 2 yet or 3, so this is just a guess for me. But I do wonder if we're gonna find out that Kaido was onto something, that he actually stumbles into, like, this organization that is actually real, and then Saiki has to help him get out of a jam.
I mean, it's not impossible. If we have, character with powers and stuff, it's not impossible that there are other people in a planet of 8 billion people that have powers and have created a secret society or something to that effect.
That's just my guess. I think Kaido's a lot of fun. I don't mind seeing him on the screen. Kaido is a lot of fun. I love seeing him. He is a really good friend to Psyche, so you can't really go wrong with him. Then we have the flip side, and I love this how they treat this next character. I like it's kind of the flip of the most popular girl character and how that
Mhm.
person is. And now that we can pry into their inner thoughts, it's really cool kind of seeing how maybe how truly someone's motives are. And of course, we're moving to Kokomi Terahashi or Turahashi. Okay, Jason, how do you feel about her?
I mean, she's fine. I guess you could tell from that, like, I'm kind of indifferent towards her. Like, I don't think she's a bad character per se, but I don't know. I kind of felt a lot of her behavior. I mean, we do get to learn a little bit more and how she's a more in depth character later on, which is kind of a redeeming thing, I guess you could say. But, like, I just felt that she was kind of flighty and flirty and was trying to find the boyfriend, and in a lot of ways, that was just kinda like, "Okay," kinda thing, but at the same time, I guess, teenage girls, so who knows, but it was kind of, I guess the one-sidedness was kind of fun because in most anime you do have the girl or who in most shonen anime, you have the guy and he has a girl interest, and it's like he's usually secretly pursuing her, or there's kind of several episodes or even seasons of will they won't they kind of thing where they kind of both like each other, but then they kind of don't, but then they kind of do, and it's like she's after Psyche, but Psyche's not. Again, Psyche's not into anybody, but Psyche's definitely not into her and stuff, and it's a fun to watch her, and I guess as the season goes on, she does develop a little bit more depth as a character, and you kind of understand her motivations. But I mean, she was enjoyable, but she definitely wasn't my favorite, I guess you could say.
I get that. There's another female character that I like better than her. But for Kokome, I love that she knows what she's doing. Every action she does is thought out to craft this perfect person persona that she has. And usually we see that kind of person who has crafted this outer look for themselves or this outer persona of being a perfect person seems like they don't have a perfect life. But for her, it just seems like she enjoys crafting this thing, and it doesn't seem like she's having any trouble in her normal life. One of my favorite moments with her is I I appreciate I appreciate how much she dedicates herself to being likable and lovable is when they go out for ramen, when Nendo is saying, "Oh, I know this great ramen place, and we're gonna go eat ramen." And then she sees that Psyche's going with them, so she says, "Oh, do you mind if I invite myself along?" And of course, the other two guys are she's the most popular girl in school, so they're definitely crushing on her. And they say, "Oh, of course we can you can come along with us." And and it turns out Nendo brought them to the most rundown, dirty ramen shop in town. And she wants to back out, but she can't because she says she thinks in her mind, well, if I back out here, they're gonna think, oh, I'm so stuck up, or I'm better than them because I won't eat at the ramen place with them. And so she goes in, the ramen comes out, and the ramen looks poisonous. You know when you watch an anime and the food is poison in an anime and it has those the wavy lines and stuff? That is the ramen.
Yeah.
And as the other guys are complaining about the ramen, we cut to her just finishing the bowl and saying, "Oh, I love this ramen so much," but her thoughts are, "I can't believe I'm eating this. This is the worst thing I've ever eaten."
Uh-huh.
Just her dedication to all that I have to applaud. She gets kudos for me for just the lengths she will go to keep this persona up.
Yeah. And I think, to your point, she's the beautiful girl, or she knows she's self-aware enough, I guess, or at least that's what I picked up on, to know that because she's so beautiful, people are going to treat her differently. And, she doesn't necessarily abuse the power, so to speak. She just kind of accepts it, but then she also understands the importance of like being a nice person in general and not just being a pretty person. So, so she tries, her thoughts might not necessarily reflect her behavior because she's trying to be polite, as you mentioned.
Oh, most definitely. And again, I'm not surprised that she fell for Saiki because because he's our main guy and he's cool and all that. Yeah, of course, you gotta fall in love with that. But it's kind of the only person who doesn't just fawn over her, fall down for her. It's this I think at first it started out as a challenge for her to what was it? She wants him to say, "Oh wow." That's her whole motive is to have Psyche say, "Oh wow" to her. But we kind of see it evolve into like more of a crush where she's actually gets nervous around him. We have that whole scene when they go on the class field trip and she thinks she's hallucinating or dreaming in a dream world and her dream world is with Psyche. So I like that where she kind of has to break out of this not break out of this perfect thing, but she's got to find a new way to connect with someone that now she actually has a crush on someone. So it's very interesting to me. I think she's just fun to be around. She's just another funny character. A lot of these characters, we go through them. I think a lot of it is just like the moments we share with them. But this show isn't about digging deep into people. So I really love all of them together. All the friend group together is really solid for me. And I think it's really well balanced and it's a fun back and forth between everyone. So I really love that. There's one more classmate that I like to bring up, and that is Rita Torisasuke or Torisaka. And he is he's not a psychic. He is what would you say, like a medium?
Yeah, he's a medium.
And I this is kind of what I thought was gonna happen with Kaido, that we were gonna have another powered person with Psyche, and now we're getting it with uh Rita. But it's in a different way. And, this wouldn't be an anime if we didn't have the pervy character. I feel like classic modern anime, there's always, I mean, even back in the day, I think of the 2000s when I was watching anime, there's always that one little pervy character that we
Yeah.
had. So he fills it for us. Any thoughts on him?
Um, yeah, I guess it's nice that there is a foil, so to speak, to the main character in the sense that he has not the exact same powers, but similar powers in the sense that he can see ghosts, talk to ghosts, have ghosts possess him, um, all that kind of thing. And then he can also see Psyche when he's in his invisible form. So those are all kind of cool things to him. But unlike Psyche, he has no problem telling everybody about his powers and even telling people who their guardian spirits are and whatnot. He is definitely the pervy character, but I do like that he is similar. He's the best way I know to describe him would be like the opposite side of the coin of Psyche in the sense that he has powers, he was born with them, but instead of trying to, like, live under the radar and isolate himself, he's trying to hit on all the girls. He's sharing the fact that he has powers with people and all that. So he's just a kind of a different person in that aspect.
Oh, he's definitely one who relishes the fame that comes with having powers. And the first episode we're introduced to him, he forms kind of a group of people that are just around him and he's telling them, what are they called? Your guardian spirit, who your guardian spirit
Yeah.
is. And he's telling everyone who their guardian spirit is. And another funny moment with him and Kaido is that we find out Kaido's guardian spirit is a chihuahua,
Mhm.
which, at the end of the day, I wouldn't mind if my guardian spirit was a chihuahua.
Yeah.
The other funny thing about him is that we also find out that who his guardian spirit is. and his guardian spirit is Nendo's dad.
Yeah. Which is kind of weird because, like, why would he be? But okay.
Yeah, it is interesting that why isn't Nendo's dad Nendo's guardian spirit? Um, but I, well, his dad passed away before he was born, so he doesn't know what his son looks like. I believe because the way it was explained, spirits kind of forget their past.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and it definitely it's a funny moment when we first meet him because Nendo keeps asking him what his guardian spirit is, and he refuses to tell Nendo who he is because he thinks Nendo is a ghost. And I did feel bad for in the beginning because he was talking about how he learned he had ghost powers because his grandma told him he had ghost powers and that it was okay. And then he went to hug her, and then he went through her because she was a ghost. And then his grandfather comforted him, and then he went to hug his grandfather, and he went through him because he was a ghost. And then he talks about as he growing up as a kid, he would just go around hugging people to make sure they weren't ghosts. But he does lead to some funny moments, especially um we find out that Nendo's dad takes a liking to Saiki, and there is a funny moment where Saiki goes to Wright's house, and he's doing a bracket of I can't what are they called? It's not like nude magazines, but I don't know what would it be called? Like just like smutty magazines, something just like tasteful softcore magazines. And he has a little bracket thing. And he's like, "How can you interrupt a man while he's doing this bracket? And we're almost done." And I just another funny moment where Saki just kicks it away, and he gets upset about that. He's always asking ghosts about what color girls' panties are. So he he is your typical pervy character. He reminds me of um if anyone watches My Hero Academia, he definitely is a Mineta-esque type character. Though I love Mineta better for anyone who's listening. I'm a Mineta stan. I like him. He's kind of fun. He's not with us all the time, so he's cool when he pops in and out. So I enjoy him in
Yeah.
that sense. And
Agreed.
and lastly, for some of the characters I feel like need to be mentioned, and I love these two together because they're Cusco's parents. Before I dive into them, what do you think of his parents?
Um, they're fine. I guess. They're not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but they're just, I don't know. To me, they're just kind of there, if that makes any sense. So they're funny. They're definitely funny. They're kind of love hate relationship, and I like it that they are. I guess I like the fact that they know that Saki has powers, but they are not at all disturbed by it. In fact, they're exploitative of it, but, like, in a loving way. Like, they're not using his powers to, like, oh, rob a bank or anything like that. They're just kinda like, "Oh, yeah, go ahead and do your thing," whatever.
I think how they use his powers or they ask him to use his powers when they need help is kind of how I feel like the mundane things that I don't want to do throughout my day. Like, when if you're late to work, can I just be teleported to my work? Or "Oh, I spilled coffee on my papers. Can we just fix the fix my papers without the coffee on it?" Or moving furniture. Those are I feel mundane things they ask him for help with the psychic power. So nothing outrageous or anything like that. Um, my I love just how we begin with them. Like you were saying, they're unfazed with him having psychic powers because he talks about when he was a baby and he had psychic powers, and his mom's cooking and she needs I believe it's like vinegar or some kind of ingredient for whatever food she's making. So he teleports and he grabs a couple bottles of that. And their fear is that, oh no, he stole these bottles of vinegar from the store and he didn't even pay for it.
Mhm.
Now we're gonna have to go back, and they're not like, "Oh my gosh, he teleported and now we have this thing." They're just worried that he stole these things from the store. Then it turns
Mhm.
out that he actually did pay for it because he has a
Mhm.
receipt of some sort. And then their worry isn't like then their worry is like, "Oh, how did he get the money?" or something weird like that. It was just
Yeah.
they're 2 funny, lovable characters. They're great background people. Um, I was worried at the first episode that they were gonna get a divorce or it was gonna be this weird split
Yeah.
between them, but I I haven't read the manga, so I don't know if it's kind of there's a longer story arc about them having a fight together, but it was very quick. They had a fight and then they made up in the same short little
Mhm.
segment. Uh, I did I think through half the show, we don't really find out what his dad does for a living, and I really genuinely believe that his dad licks shoes as a job of some sort because it was just this running gag of him licking the shoes to make money, and he's talking about, "I had to lick a lot of shoes to make money this week," or, "This is my shoe licking money."
Maybe he's a quality control tester at, like, a shoe factory or something.
Uh, oh, I and even when we do find out his job, he still talks about licking shoes. So it's just very confusing. We find out that he does work for a manga company, but a very niche, unpopular manga company. And one of my favorite moments is he's an editor, so he's talking to a manga writer or creator, and he says,
Mhm.
I believe the creator is making a sports manga. And he says, "Oh, we need more psychic powers and we need more dry humor in it." Clearly making a comment of like Saiki's life.
Mhm.
And then the creator says, "Oh, I can't do that. Oh, this is a sports manga. I can't put that in there." And he says, "Well, just give me something like Naruto."
Yeah. It vaguely, maybe not exactly, but it kinda reminded me of, I don't know if you watch Invincible, but there was it season 2, maybe season 3, I can't remember exactly when, but there was, like, an episode where he goes and sees, like, a comic book creator or whatever, and they talk about, like, "Oh, I really like your comic book and the animated show," and, but then it becomes meta because they're making references to, like, themselves in a way when they're like, "Oh, isn't it weird how like, animators save money on the animation?" Like, 'cause so Invincible is talking to, like, the comic book creator about the development process of creating, like, a comic book cartoon or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, it's weird how they spend so much time or they save money on animation. They'll take a shot, like an overhead shot instead of showing people talking, and then immediately in the cartoon, it shows an overhead shot instead of them showing Invincible talking to the guy."
Yeah, I love that where it's kind of we know we're commenting on that we are a show in a show and these tropes of what a show is. Eh, I do feel like that is sprinkled through this anime all throughout,
Yep.
and it's just another reason to, like, fall in love with it and just have some things about it. Are there any other characters you think are worth mentioning?
I mean, Chio's kinda cool. I forget the name of the girl who has all the jobs. I mean, she's a minor character, but I thought she was, a kinda cool character. But overall, I think, like, these are at least for now, these are the main ones who are contributing the most to the story, whereas everybody else is kind of a side or tertiary character, if you will.
I do love the oh man, what's her name? Mira, I believe, the girl with a lot of jobs. I love, one of the jobs before they go on the vacation is she is a deep sea fisherman,
Mhm.
and she's walking with all her siblings, and she says, "Well, they at least they got to let me keep the giant tuna," or something like that, and she's hauling around a giant tuna. Um, she is constantly working and constantly hungry, I guess. She works so much to support her family. I love her character. I love the kind of funny trope that we have that she has to constantly be working. I hope we stop there. I hope we don't because I feel like there's a really sad story there. And I think
Yeah.
at the level we're at, we're just good. So I don't need a backstory for her. I think she's just having fun right now. So let's just keep it at that. Um, are there any other favorite moments in the show that you want to mention?
I think we touched upon it earlier, but I really like, and I know it's really early in the show, but it really like highlights the character of Saki, where he like does the kind of thunderbolt or electrocutes the snake, but then oh gosh, soon Kaido believes that it's like his powers that did it. I mean, he doesn't have powers, but he believes that he somehow did that. And so now everybody believes he's a superhero and he has powers, and it kind of validates his whole shtick. And what I that one just makes me laugh, and it kind of highlights both characters, how who Shun is, but also who Sake is, and the fact that he didn't really have to help him at all, but he did anyway.
Oh yeah, that's a great scene because the poisonous snake comes out, it's about to bite someone, and Kaido jumps in front of the snake, and then Saki decides to help him out, and then he thinks, "Oh, I have superpowers," like you were saying, and it makes Saki think, "Oh, maybe he is a brave person," or there is
Hmm.
something in him. And then we cut away to the next scene, and he's just super arrogant about the powers. He's like, "Don't talk to me wrong, or I might electrocute you."
Yeah.
Gosh, I kind of try to think of some of my favorite moments through the show. I there it's hard to pinpoint, one thing that I love. Oh, okay. One of the things I really enjoy was the cat. The We meet a cat in the one of the episodes, and it's stuck between a building. It's stuck between two walls and it's trying to get out. And it is the most arrogant cat you'll ever meet. Because all Saiki wants him to say is, "Please help me out of the trapped in the wall." And
Oh, yeah.
the cat's like, "Oh, people are only here to serve us cats, and we're on the top. And if you help me out, I might let you pet me for 5 seconds." So I really enjoy the cat, and lucky for us, the cat comes back for a couple
Yep.
episodes. So it's just a fun little thing. Just seeing characters come in and out, coming back. Like Saiki helps his kid out, and the kid thinks Saiki is a superhero from television. It's
Hmm.
just a lot of just little fun moments. I really think this whole show is one of my favorite moments. There's something in every episode that makes me laugh or makes me smile. So to just kind of pinpoint to one is very difficult for me. Um, but yeah, so those are just some of our thoughts on this show. Um, and like with every anime, we rate it on our scale. So Jason, for the disastrous life of Psyche K, what would you give it?
I am definitely going mouth watering. I think it is a very good show. I really enjoyed it. I could see some of the issues with pacing and whatnot being a detractor for a lot of people, because I mean, just as any slice of life show, I mean, it's not an action show, so it's not going to be fast paced. It is slower paced, but if that's not your style, you're probably not going to like it. And I think that kind of makes it a little more niche than maybe some other anime. But otherwise, it is definitely a good thing to watch if you have, some spare time. The episodes are only about like 22 minutes, not too long. So you can knock out a few of them, knock them out over maybe a long weekend. I know we have Thanksgiving coming up in a few weeks. So yeah, mouth watering.
I'm also here with you on that one. I definitely give this a mouth watering. I I like it because I can just relax and watch it. You're not going through emotional turmoil. I'm not crying an episode. It's not super action packed. It's just a fun. You can sit down and watch an episode go through, and I definitely recommend this if you want to just take a break from everything and just have something lighthearted and fun. This is definitely a great show to just throw on, and really you could pick it up from anywhere. Uh, I I enjoyed watching this. I definitely rewatched this a few times already. Um, I don't know about any of you guys who are listening, But for me, I sleep with the television on. So I usually have a show playing, and this is one of those shows where I can just have it on and it's just relaxing. So I definitely recommend this. It's a solid mouth watering for me. I can't wait to start the next season. We do get introduced to a mysterious. No, we get to learn about a new character for next season. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, it's a solid mouth watering for me too. And again, those are just what we think about the show. We would love to hear what you think about this show. So please leave us a comment telling us your favorite moments, your favorite characters, and all that. You can find us on Instagram at Anime Bento Pod. You can find me at Jimsta2.
And then check out our podcast. That's my purse pod. If you are a King of the Hill fan, and if you aren't, you should be.
Oh, most definitely. Check it out. There's so many great episodes. I don't, there's over 20. Wait, we did 50 episodes, right?
We have a total of 69 episodes up, so
69 episodes,
I guess
everyone.
it's technically 68 because one is just me recording to say that we're skipping a week. So, but
Hey,
yeah.
but you still listen to that one. It's part of the chronological order of our episodes. Again, I can't that's another show I really love too, King of the Hill. So be able to check that out. That's my purse streaming everywhere. You can listen to podcasts where you listen to this at. That's all for this week though. So until next time, stay legendary.
And see you at the guild.
Bye.
Bye.
Open the box, what will it be? A world of wonders, just wait and see. Big eyes, big dreams in every scene. It's anime bento, it's your routine. Laugh, cry, shout, let it all flow. Heroes, villains, battles will grow. Grab your chopsticks, here we go. Anime bento steals the show.